Spellbinders Week at Paper Crafters Library, and every day during the week of June 18th to June 22nd, 2012, we'll be sharing a variety of project ideas featuring different Spellbinders die template collections. Every day this week, we'll be giving away a different Spellbinders die template generously donated by Spellbinders, and we'll share more details on how you can enter to win at the end of this video. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create this Love You card. This features the Classic Hearts Spellbinders Nestability along with the Noble Roman lowercase alphabet Presto Punch template. So the first piece that I'm going to die cut is my heart, and for that I'm going to be using my Spellbinders Nestabilities Classic Hearts die template set, and the heart that I'm going to be using is the largest out of all of them. I'm going to be die cutting a piece of pattern paper. This is the Sienna Spirit pattern from the American Crafts Amy Tangerine sketchbook collection, and I just grabbed a scrap that I had in my bin, and I'm going to be placing it on top of my cutting plate. Now, one thing to note when you're die cutting with your Spellbinders dies, you'll notice that one side is completely smooth and then the other side has this raised edge. This raised edge is the cutting blade, so that's the portion that you want facing your patterned paper. Now, to die cut my heart, I'm going to be using my Spellbinders Grand Caliber. That's the machine that I like to use with all my Spellbinders dies. If you don't have a Grand Caliber, you can certainly use other die cutting machines like the Big Shot or the Cuttlebug, and we do have videos in the Paper Crafters Library that show you how to cut your Spellbinders dies using those machines. And on the Spellbinders website, there's also a chart that tells you what sandwiches you need for different machines. Now, to keep my die from sliding, I like to use my Scotch Matte Finish removable tape, and this is a very low tack tape, and I love using this with my dies because it's strong enough to keep my die from shifting on my material, but it's low tack enough that when I pull it off, it's not going to tear my pattern paper. So as I mentioned, I now have this on my C plate, which is the cutting plate, and I'm going to sandwich the base plate, the A plate, on top, and then run this through my Grand Caliber. So I'm back from the Grand Caliber, and I'm just going to take my die cut piece off of my cutting plate, and I'm going to take my base plate, and I'm going to lay this piece on top of my base plate with this time the blade facing upwards, or the cutting edge facing upwards, because now I'd like to emboss it. So I'm going to take my tan mat, lay that on top, and then I'm going to take my B plate, this pink one, which is my embossing plate, and then I'm going to run this through my Grand Caliber. So now when I remove my die cut piece from the die, and you see the tape didn't tear my paper, you can see I have this beautiful die cut heart shape, and it has this beautiful embossed edge. So now for my greeting, I'm going to be using my Spellbinders Presto Punch template, the Noble Roman lowercase alphabet. And I'm going to be die cutting or punching out these letters using my Spellbinders Presto Punch. Now, I have used my Presto Punch templates in the Spellbinders Grand Caliber, but it's not recommended by Spellbinders that you do so because I guess it really chews up the cutting plate. So if you have it, ideally you'd want to use these in the Spellbinders Presto Punch. So that's what I'm going to show you here. So you want the purple folder, and this is the one that has the magnetic piece inside. Mine's getting close to needing to be replaced, and I'm going to take my cardstock. Here I have a piece of wax paper. I find with some of the more elaborate dies, or dies like this one that are quite, it doesn't have an open area, you just have these two little holes to poke your die cut piece out, that it's a lot easier to extract your die cut piece from the die if you have a layer of wax paper in between. So here I'm just going to take a piece of my Scotch removable tape, I'm going to hold the wax paper and cardstock piece together, and then I'm going to take my letter L. So I'm going to be punching out the word love, so 4 letters, and I'm going to hold that in place on my waxed paper using a piece of my removable tape, and then I'm going to put this in my folder, and I'm going to run this through my Presto Punch. Now, we do have a separate video in the Paper Crafters Library that shows you exactly how to use the Presto Punch and all the features of that neat little machine. So I'm back from my Presto Punch, and now I just need to pop my letter out. And to do that, I'm just going to take my paper piercing tool, poke through the hole at the back, and that just pushes my cardstock forward enough that you can see how easily it pops out of there. And then it's just a matter of just taking off the wax paper piece. And then I've got my letter. So I'm going to do my remaining letters, die cut my remaining letters using my Presto Punch. So with my letters now popped out of the die template and my heart cut, I'm ready to start assembling my card. Here I've got a piece of pattern paper that comes from the American Crafts Viridian Vignette pattern, and it's from the Amy Tangerine Sketchbook collection. And I've cut this piece to 3 7/8 of an inch by 5 1/8 of an inch. So I'm going to take my heart and I'm going to stick it using some double-sided adhesive to my pattern paper piece, and I want to stick it so that it's a little bit less, probably I guess about a 1/2 inch down from the top of my pattern paper piece, and I want it to be, I'd say, probably about 3/8 of an inch in from the right hand edge of my piece, like so. So you can see the heart just overhangs a little bit. So then I'm going to take my scissors and I'm just going to use the edge of my pattern paper piece as a guide to trim that. So there you can see what that looks like. So now I'm ready to stick it onto a piece of black cardstock, and my black cardstock is 4 by 5 1/4 inches. And the black cardstock that I'm using is Basil's ebony cardstock. And when I mat my pattern paper on top of that, it gives me an 1/8 of an inch border all around. And then my last step is to center and stick this onto my card front. Now my card was cut or created from a 4 1/4 by 11 inch piece of taffy cardstock from American Crafts, scored at 5 1/2 inches and folded in half to create a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch card. So I'm just going to place a little bit of adhesive on the front of that card, and then I'm going to center and stick my cardstock piece, and as you can see, it just leaves a nice border all around. So my next step now is to add my letters, and I'm going to start with my last letter. I'm going to position that where I want it on the card. I always like to work backwards, so where my letter is going, where I want my word to finish, and then work my way towards the first letter. So I'm just placing that on here just to check placement if I'm happy with it. And then before I go ahead and stick that down, I'm going to add some alphabet stickers. And I have these little alphabet stickers that you can see here from My Little Shoebox. And I absolutely love these. I find myself reaching for them over and over again. So I'm going to take the letters that spell the word U, and I'm going to position them on my card front. And as I stick them down, as you can see here, I'm using some tweezers and I'm trying to make sure I leave just a little space in between them. Like so. Now to stick my other letters down, I'm going to be using some of my Tombow Mono multi-liquid glue, and I'm just going to place just some small dabs of the glue on the reverse side of my letter. And if you find that you put too much glue on there, you can always grab a scrap piece of paper and just kind of drag it against the scrap piece of paper. I don't want too much on there because I don't want to chance it smearing. And then you just press your letter down. So I'm going to go ahead and finish my remaining letters. So I finished sticking down my letters, and the last thing I want to do is to embellish my card with a couple of buttons. So before I stick the buttons on, I'm going to be putting a little bit of embroidery floss through, just a white floss. And as you can see, I've already threaded it up and then down so that you can just see the white on the front of the button, and there you can see the ends. Now, rather than tying a knot and making it bulky, I'm just going to press this against a mini glue dot, and then I'm going to press the ends of my embroidery floss into that mini glue dot to hold them in place. And then I can just simply take my scissors and cut the end of my floss like so, and then I'll be able to stick it to my card with a mini glue dot. But before I do that, I'm just going to do the same thing with my second button. So I've threaded both of the buttons, and my last step now is to press the button against a mini glue dot and then just stick it to the top left of my card. And I'm sticking the buttons one above the other. So there you can see what our project now looks like. So as we mentioned at the beginning of this video, every day this week we're giving away a different die template generously donated by Spellbinders. One winner will be randomly chosen from the comments left on each day's post. All 5 winners will be announced on Friday, June the 22nd, 2012 at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. To enter to win today's giveaway, visit the Paper Crafters Library blog and leave a comment in the post you see here. If you're watching this video from somewhere other than our blog, you'll find a direct link to this post in the video description section. While you're there, we invite you to check out the benefits of becoming a Paper Crafters Library member by clicking on the Benefits of Membership link at the top of our blog. Now, the winner will be announced on Friday, June 22nd at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be sure to visit our blog every day this week for more great projects using Spellbinders die templates and for more opportunities to win, as each day Spellbinders will be giving away one of the dies we used in that day's projects. See you on the blog!